SpaceX Falcon Heavy core has crashed. It was a successful launch, but the landing was just not to be. SpaceX Falcon Heavy spacecraft barely survives most difficult launch ever. This is by Tom Fish on Express UK. SpaceX Falcon Heavy center core exploded after the spaceship crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. This is what was announced by owner Elon Musk. The SpaceX Falcon Heavy this week undertook the most difficult mission yet, which saw the rocket's center core dramatically explode, crashing into the Atlantic Ocean. This was after a 3-hour delay from its original scheduled launch time of 4:30 p.m. BST Tuesday. That's 11:30 p.m. ET Monday. Following additional ground system checkouts, it was postponed for 7:30 BST, that's 2:30 a.m. ET launch. The initial textbook launch of the cutting-edge SpaceX rocket drew gasps and applause for onlookers at Florida's Cape Canaveral, but the mission was hit by problems when the center core failed to land. On 11 minutes later, SpaceX Falcon Heavy was supposed to land on the Of Course I Still Love You drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. But the SpaceX ship exploded into flames before crashing into the water. The rocket's 2 side boosters, reused for the second time, had already completed a successful landing in Florida. Falcon Heavy is the world's most powerful operational rocket by a factor of 2. This is what SpaceX explains. The ashes of 152 people are on board the Elon Musk rocket, a move that cost the families of the deceased more than $5,000 for each, and the launch will transport 7 grams of their remains into space. This is what the wish of the families were, to transport their ashes into space. Now, the ashes of the deceased were stored into metal storage capsules and placed aboard one of the SpaceX Falcon Heavy's payloads of satellites. SpaceX Falcon Heavy can blast nearly 141,000 pounds, that's 64 metric tons, into orbit, heavier than a fully loaded 737 plane. Only the Saturn V moon rocket, last flown back in 1973, delivered a heavier payload into orbit over Earth. And after these boosters separated successfully, the craft began its 6-hour mission to deploy the 24 satellites on board, including a deep space atomic clock, the atomic clock, a solar sail, and the human remains. The Department of Defense Space Test Program 2 mission, managed by the U.S. Air Force Space and Missile Systems Centers, is the first SpaceX mission ordered by the U.S. Air Force. The mission intends to provide data to certify the SpaceX Falcon Heavy and its reused boosters for future national security launches. SpaceX has experienced previous issues with its center core landing procedure. This is not the first time. In April, launch saw SpaceX attempt to land on its drone ship only to fail and fall over while being towed back to shore in stormy conditions. SpaceX has yet to successfully recover the core of a Falcon Heavy intact following a launch. SpaceX spokesman described the landing during the live streams as the center core entry and landing is going to be risky. During entry, it will face more heating and dynamic pressure than we have ever experienced on Falcon 9 or Heavy before. We have to lift the second stage higher and faster than ever before in order to have enough performance in it to execute 4 burns into all the different orbits. Following the crash, the Apex spokesperson added, "It looks like our center core did not make it on our drone ship. Of course, I still love you tonight." Again, as we've been mentioning, this was the most challenging landing we had ever had to date, and this is our secondary mission. The primary mission was to complete the deployment of the onboard satellites, which has successfully been done. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, You will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.